When the teaser trailer for Hamlet was released back in September of 2017, I think just about every Don't Starve player had a different idea of what the game would be like. We would see more screenshots and more footage in the lead up to the game's eventual release, showing off treasure hunting, some of the new creatures, and of course, the pig civilization, which is the major selling point of the DLC and what sets it apart from the other Don't Starve titles. So before we get into some of the ways in which I think the game can be improved, I firstly just want to mention that at the point of making this video, Hamlet is still in early access, with plans to make a full release sometime in April of this year. And if you look at pretty much every iteration of Don't Starve, they have all followed a similar pattern of going from beta updates to early access updates, followed by the full release, and then continued updates beyond that, some of which have actually been quite substantial. The new Rain update for Don't Starve Together and the Home Sea Home update for Shipwrecked are both good examples of major content additions well after the game has left early access. So I can only hope and assume that Hamlet will have similar treatment and that we will continue to get major updates beyond the full release. Now that may not be the case, but for this video I'm going to assume that the game isn't going to be completely finished by April. Also, I don't think there's much point in me mentioning bugs that are in the game at the moment. There are a lot of bugs, and some performance issues as well, frame drops, things like that. I'm sure if you've played the game you're aware of some of those issues. I'm quite hopeful that a lot of those will be fixed between now and the completed version of the game. So I wanted to start by talking about the actual pig city. And like I said, this was the major selling point of the game, at least for me anyway. It was such an awesome concept to have the pigs own shops and sell items to you. And they have all the basics there. They've got food, tools, weapons, hats, even healing stuff. Really cool, love all that stuff. Some of the shops though have some items that are a little bit less useful. The Oddities Emporium in particular comes to mind, and 8 of the 13 items sold in that shop can't even be used in Hamlet to craft anything. Sure, you can take them to a connected world and use them there, but that kinda defeats the purpose a bit. So my idea to fix that is to first of all take away all the items that you can't use. Boss loot in particular should only be acquired by defeating the actual boss. I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? There's not much point fighting Dragonfly if you can just buy scales for 30 oinks a piece. 30 oinks isn't even that much when you think about it. So that's the first thing. The next part of the plan is to create a shop where you, the player, can sell items. So then it can be like a monster hunting thing. You can travel to distant lands, fight the bosses there, and then bring the loot back to Hamlet to sell to the pigs. You could get low amounts of money for basic enemy loot like silk or hound's teeth, more for things like beard hair or tentacle spots, and then take in the big bucks when you bring in a boss item like the Deerclops eyeball or the Quackenbeak. I feel like that kind of system encourages the player to seek out new challenges, and especially seek out boss fights that you might not otherwise. I know I normally avoid fighting most of the bosses altogether after the first year or so, because the items really aren't that useful anymore. However, the only way this kind of system would work is if the game currency is tweaked a bit. Oinks really need to be balanced. As it stands, the start of the game is the only time when you're really lacking for oinks. And I find that once I've survived a year in Hamlet, I barely even need to buy anything anymore. So at the moment there's no real reason to get oinks in the end game, and any oink you do need are too easy to get. So my solution to this problem is there needs to be more things to buy. More things for the house, more furniture, more wall decorations, more designs, definitely more paneling options because there's only like 2 good ones. And if you add more things to buy, it will give the players a reason to get more money in the first place. Add expensive items. Give me an oxygen not included painting for 200 oinks and I would buy that shit. I would hang that up on my wall and I would be a proud man every time I open the door. And this kind of leads me to another suggestion that I've been thinking of for a while, and I know it's been suggested by a lot of other people as well, and that would be to add additional rooms to your house in Hamlet. And it just so happens that the developers mentioned this in a recent live stream, and they are actually working on it. I'm not sure if it will be in the game by the time you're watching this video, but it is a planned feature, which is awesome. At the moment, I have no idea how it will work. I don't know if it's something you need to purchase. That would be my first guess, and I think that would be the best way to go about it too. Maybe you need to purchase like a building permit from the mayor. I don't know. I'd also love to have a larger room than the one you currently get, so hopefully you can do that too. Even if it's something that's really expensive, I would happily grind away for that. I cannot wait to have different rooms for the kitchen, a room for chess, and a room just to hang out. That would be so cool. Also, as a side note, they also mentioned that they would be tweaking the seasons a little bit and the way that they would work so that you can get more out of them. I think that's the way they phrased it. There are also new characters coming, as well as changes to the apocalypse, and I'm very interested to see what that's going to bring into the game. I feel like the apocalypse is more of a nuisance than anything else at the moment. Apart from getting 10 hits from lightning if you're playing as WX, there's basically no reason to be in the apocalypse at the moment. I would love to see some kind of risk-reward dynamic where you can get some decent loot, depending on how long you last in the madness. Also, if I remember correctly, the Ancient Herald doesn't even drop anything if you kill him, and he spawns back far too quickly, so I don't really want to spend too much talking about the shortcomings of the apocalypse because it's obvious that it is still a work in progress, and I look forward to seeing what becomes of it. Alright, so up to this point in the video, I've mentioned a few ways that the game can be tweaked a little bit, as well as some concepts that I think would highlight Hamlet's differences compared to the other DLCs. And some of the things I'm sure will make it into the game, and as I've already mentioned, a few are already being worked on as we speak. But what I'm about to suggest now probably won't, however. And to explain myself a little better, we need to go all the way back to E3 2018. And at E3, we were shown a gameplay trailer for Hamlet, but what I wanted to discuss was shown 5 days prior to that. And that was the Gorge event trailer for Don't Starve Together. Now, is it a coincidence that both of these trailers were shown off within a week of each other? And both of them have a very distinct Victorian setting and theme. You have one that has a pig civilization and the other a merm-like civilization. I don't know if many people made the same assumption that I did, but after seeing both trailers and after playing the Gorge, I kinda saw it as a bit of a teaser for Hamlet. I thought we would be seeing some of the same items and mechanics in Hamlet, yet sadly the more I think about it now, it feels like the Gorge was everything that didn't make it into Hamlet for whatever reason. And it's such a huge shame. It was an awesome farming system where you could buy seeds from a vendor and you have to till the land to plant the crops. That's so cool. And you still can kind of buy seeds in Hamlet, but the ones on offer in the shop are chosen randomly. And in the Gorge there were new crops as well that made sense, like wheat, regular potatoes, onions, tomatoes. There were countless awesome recipes, new cooking equipment. You had the cook pot, the grill, the oven, even some of the structures around the place like the iron fences and gates, the grinding stone, the salt ponds. All of this stuff would have fit perfectly in Hamlet, with the Victorian setting especially. I just can't escape the feeling that it was meant to be there in the first place. I have no idea if it was something that was planned and then scrapped, or if it's planned for the future. I even have a sneaking suspicion that we might be seeing some of this content in Don't Starve Together, but who really knows at this point. I do feel like the content from the Gorge is a bit wasted on a game mode that's only available for 1 month out of the year. I can't imagine how long it would have taken to create for the dev team, and I can see why they moved back into making regular content for Don't Starve and DST after the Forge Round 2. I guess I just hope that all of that awesome content finds a permanent home somewhere. I'd love to be able to farm crops and sell the produce in my own little shop. And maybe now that they've added beefalo domestication in the game, you could be a livestock farmer, I don't know. There was even a little broken bicycle in the corner of the Gorge map, and honestly, I would pay 1,000 oinks to be able to ride that around the city. There's just so much potential there. And this video isn't really meant to be a criticism of the game. I'm not trying to sound like the game is bad and these are the things that will make it better. I genuinely do enjoy playing Hamlet in its current state, but I feel like the world has so much to offer. And I realize now that we're coming to the end of the video, I haven't really suggested that many ideas, but I also wanted to hear from you guys what you think should be added to the game or what should be improved. This game is being worked on right as we speak. We're seeing changes on a daily basis, and I feel like this is the perfect time to voice your opinion or what you would like to see. We've already seen Wormwood added into the game, and he's a really unique character, definitely forces you to play the game a bit differently, and that's exactly the kind of design that I'm after in Don't Starve. So if you guys have ideas or suggestions for Hamlet, please leave them in the comments. And yeah, I think this video has gone on long enough now. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble. I look forward to reading your suggestions in the comments, and as always, take care.